In this video, we're going to look at how we dissect a kidney and some of the dissecting equipment we use to do dissections in science. So as you can see right now, there's a tray which you get when you do a dissection, and it has some equipment in it. There is a scalpel which we use to cut up things we need to do. These are very sharp, so you need to be careful when you're using these. Particularly, we always make sure when we're using a scalpel that we cut away from our bodies so that we don't cut ourselves, because that would not be good. Also some tweezers, so if you need to pull some things apart or look at different structures in some organs, you can use those. There's the scissors. When we're doing the kidney dissection now, we actually won't use the scissors to do that, but other dissections they're a very useful tool, and often they're better to use scissors to cut up things than it is a scalpel, because they often don't cut into other things you don't want to cut. And lastly, there's this instrument here which is called a probe. We can use this to point out things, and also sometimes just to move something back so you can see a structure underneath something else. So that's the equipment we'll be using for this kidney dissection. So here is the actual kidney we'll be dissecting. Now the kidney is the structure involved in the excretory system in our bodies, and it actually excretes all the waste from our cells. And the kidneys, as you've learned about as well, they filter our blood. And the reason why we do a dissection on a kidney is so that you can see the different structures that make up a kidney and those ones that are involved in filtering out all those wastes from your blood. So the first thing we do once for this dissection is actually to look at the kidney, to examine it, and to look at the different structures we can see on the outside of the kidney. So we can move it around, we can look at its kind of shape, what it feels like, and also we can examine the different things we see. So in a kidney there's not a lot to see. It's mainly just the outside, which is the brown bit, and this white bit here is actually where the wastes go down into a tube called the ureter, down into your bladder. And you see a little red dot in the middle of that there. That's possibly all that's left of either the renal artery or the renal vein, which also get the blood into your kidney and then back out of your kidney back to your heart and lungs. So once we've examined the kidney and observed what structures we can see on the outside, we can then actually look at cutting the kidney open and seeing what is on the inside. And to cut the kidney open, we actually will be using the scalpel, and the best way of cutting the kidney is actually to hold it upright, so this white bit we see is pointing straight up, and you kind of hold the kidney between your thumb and your fingers, and that helps you to make sure you're going to cut the kidney in the correct place. Whenever we're cutting the kidney in half, we usually make sure, instead of cutting it right in the middle of the kidney, we usually need to cut a little bit off to the side. If you try and cut right into the middle of the kidney, you actually find some really hard things which you won't be able to cut through. And also when we're doing the cut, we always make sure the scalpel is always going to cut away from our bodies, not towards our own body. So if you slip and cutting this way, you're going to cut your hand, and these scalpels are very sharp and we don't want to do that. So to cut the kidney, basically you hold it like I am now and you make a cut a little bit close to the centre but a little bit off to one side. Sometimes it takes a few goes to get through the kidney, and you may have to rotate it around to do the other side as well. Generally it's fairly easy to cut up a kidney. They're fairly easy to cut. Now sometimes you might have to turn it over as well and cut from the other side, like I'm going to do now. You just got to join up the two cuts that you've made in the kidney. Sometimes as well, when you get this cut, you might have to come back in from the top and just cut away some of the harder bits so you can fold the kidney out, and so you can see all the different structures that are involved in the excretion of blood. Actually, the excretion of waste from our body. Now, when the kidney is open, we'll point out some of the structures that you can see. So On the outside of the kidney, this brown layer is called the cortex. These purpley pink bits is the medulla, and the white bits that come in, that actually makes the thing called the pelvis. And you can see how the pelvis kind of branches out into the different parts of the kidney. And these branches out go to each of the risk regions in your kidney, and that's what collects the waste, and then it all collects in the pelvis and then goes down a tube into your bladder. Also, the bits in the kidney which actually filter your blood, which are called the nephrons, and each kidney has over 1 million nephrons in it, they actually are situated in between, they actually go between the cortex and the medulla. So the nephron kind of loops around each nephron, and that's where all the filtration of the blood occurs. And also things like water and salt are reabsorbed back into your body because your body needs to keep those in there. Once you have finished the dissection and you've looked at the structures, you need to draw a picture of what you see and label it, and then once that is completed, your teacher will come around and collect your equipment and also your kidneys. So one other rule when doing dissections lastly is as well, anything from a dissection always stays in the tray, it doesn't end up anywhere else. So that's a quick overview of how we dissect a kidney, and those rules about using equipment, they all apply to the other dissections that we'll be doing as part of our body systems topic.